like those same locals are now like the police that we're living with, and are now like fighting the terrorists together with the actual insurgents, the religious extremists.
Okay. I assume some have made confessions to you, but have any actually told you any particular stories when they were actually?
No, none of them have ever told me any particular stories, and I've never really asked them about it. I wouldn't say that they're like ashamed of it, but they're just kind of like fearful of it. It's something they don't want to discuss with us. Like they're still scared that we'll like snatch them up and detain them. There's a few guys that are kind of on the edge. Like you can see them when you're walking around. They're kind of uneasy. We have one guy in particular that he would get scared when the Marines from outside our station, like from any of the other stations, would show up. He would like either hide or he'd go away, and I really started to notice that more. Do I think he's involved in any terrorist activities now or any anti-American force activities? Like, no. I think he's a legitimately changed guy, but he was just nervous about those past activities that he was involved in, afraid that we'd snatch him up and pretty much, use the tactics we were using last year.
So does he still believe that?
He's still a little on edge, but not as bad as he was when we first got here because he trusts us more. We've been living with him. And no, he's not as like shaky as he was when he first came.
Okay. Oh, what's going on? Are we good? You need the room?
Maybe, sorry.
All right. Yeah. Right now we have the exchange of place going on between 3-7 and 2-8. So all the rooms are being bunked up. So you have 3-7 Marines sharing rooms with 2-8 Marines, and it's getting a little crowded around here. But you were saying that he's not as concerned now, but you think it's going to affect him whenever 3-7 leaves and 2-8 comes in? I mean, we're doing a very thorough changeover with him. We're passing all this kind of information. We're not just like handing them this delicate situation they're in and just leaving and saying, here you go. We're explaining like these concepts and like these key individuals, like these I'm not going to say former terrorists. I'm going to say like these guys who used to participate in anti-coalition force activities, and we're explaining like how delicate they are, and that you need to be careful around them about what you say, and whatnot. And they call themselves the Resistance, right? Is that
they would have called themselves the Resistance. Some of them, yes.
Yeah, I think somebody told me that. I thought maybe it was.
Hey, is all your shit staged?
I guess my last question is, and I think we talked about it earlier, but I just want to go. So, your junior Marines, do they have the same kind of ties with the Iraqis? I mean, since they weren't nearly as involved as you and Lieutenant Falk with the community.
Some of them do have some of the ties, but they're more like on like a choice, like not like me where I put myself in the position to where I have to like all the IPs and I want all the IPs to like me. They're more of like, hey, I like this one guy but not the rest, or I get along with these few, and they're pretty much indifferent to the other ones, and they'll spend more time with that other IP that they care about, or not really care about, that they'd prefer to spend time with. Like, hey, I like this guy, he's a good dude, he jokes around with me and I get along with him. I don't like this guy, he's always asking me for stuff, he wants my flashlight, he wants me to give him a sling, he wants me to give him my undershirts, and they get kind of aggravated that this guy's always asking him for stuff, and they just don't want to spend time around him, they'll ignore him, and just stuff like that.
Okay. So with the junior Marines, like you said, they're not as actively involved in the community, they still have relationships, but it's just like...
Not as actively, no. Like I said, they, like me, they just... I'm not gonna say they're not good at hiding it. They just don't understand why. They don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. They've come up to me and asked me before, like, "Why? I can't see how you can stand these people." It's kind of hard for me to explain to them. They just, like I said, they don't understand. They haven't seen the other type of environment. I know how much better this war is than the last war in like Ramadi 1, and that's why I'm so dedicated to what I'm doing, because like being in like a squad leader type position like I am, there's no better feeling than going back home with all your Marines that you came here with. A lot of guys, pretty much all of our platoons last year, all their squad leaders, they couldn't say that they were going home with all the Marines that they showed up with. I mean, we lost Marines to the war. There were casualties that have to go back early, and these junior guys, they just don't understand how much safer and how much better this type of war is. And from like a leadership perspective, whatever I can do to get them safely home, I'm going to do it. And that's pretty much like why I was so dedicated to what I am doing here.
Oh no, that's like I said, I'm glad you're sharing that with us right now. It's a good perspective to get on the augmentation team. Sometimes it seems like the Marines are a bit eager to share all their successes at the augmentation team site.
Which we have had a lot of success.
Yes, had a lot of successes, but there's still that human side. There's still relationships, you know. Just like in the company, in the platoons, in the squads, you make the best of friends, but there's usually one or two people in your 13-man squad that, you know, really chafe the squad, you know.
And there are those guys that chafe the squad, but like me being a leader, I'm still responsible for him. He has a mother and father like back home waiting for him. Just because I may not like him as a person doesn't mean like I'm not obligated to like him as a Marine. He's still in my squad, and I'm still responsible for his life. And even if I don't like him, I'm gonna do everything I can to get him home alive. Like it's kind of like a family mentality. Those guys in my squad are my family. I love each and every one of them. I may not like some of them, like as people, but I love all of them, and I want to get them home to their families. So this deployment has been just very, very generous to me, I guess you could say, and I'm very happy that I'm going to be able to get all of them home to their families. All the guys that I came here with are all coming home with me.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, guys. Once again, thank you for sharing it with us. That's an insight that we haven't quite captured yet on film. So thank you. I guess right now we'll, unless there's anything else you feel like we're leaving out, I was going to move into the your background.
Did you want to talk about the CMOC at all? I don't.
The CMOC?
It's a Civil Military Operations Center.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With the claims.
Yeah, please.
Well, basically, like back to this coin. This is more part of the external focus, putting money back into the city. We opened up this is something.
CMOC. I mean, what's that stand for again?
Civil Military Operations Center.
Yeah, only the military comes with those crazy acronyms.
That's right. But basically what we wanted to do is, like I said, you had all these disgruntled locals out there who are like, the Marines and the Americans are blowing up houses, they're putting bullet holes in everything.
This is when y'all were fighting.
This is when we were fighting, and the city was very much destroyed from it. After like 3 and 4 years of fighting here, there wasn't a single house in this entire city that didn't have a bullet hole in it, that there wasn't a house with any windows that weren't broken. Like you could look out there, you've been around, a vast majority of the houses are in rubble, and the city was just destroyed from it. And what we wanted to do was start putting money back into the city, and this is more of the external stuff. I worked a little bit with like the paperwork and stuff like that. This was more like Lieutenant Falk's job. He'd go find the people, find like the rubbled houses.
And that was the reason for the patrols. So many patrols. They're not really patrols to go out and make sure the bad guys are coming in.
The patrols were never focused on the enemy. That goes into the whole coin thing. On coin counterinsurgency, you focus on the populace. Everything is about the populace, and the patrols would go out. We'd do patrols just to go out and talk to the people and say, how are you doing out here? And we just go out there to make them feel safer. We wanted the people to feel that they were secure. And that's a big part of COIN too, is the security feeling that the people have. They need to feel safe, and that you're protecting them from the insurgents. But getting a little off track, going back to the CMOC stuff here, these people would bring in claims like pictures of